This conference will now be recorded.
Chaturmukha-samarambham Vakbhadacharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryandam Vande Guru-paramparam. Ragadirogan satatanushaktan Asheshakaya prasrutan Asheshan Aulsukyamoharadidan Jakhana Yo Purva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. So, namaskaram to all the members present in this room today. And as Vaidya Nilesh was mentioning, after a short break, we are starting with a new Adhyaya. We completed Snehavidhi. And obviously, this is Shodhana Prakaranam, Panchakarma Prakaranam. So, the next procedure, what we are supposed to learn is Swedvidhi. So, after completing the Snehavidhi, as we are all eager to know about the next step that is to be followed in the normal sequence of events, we are starting with the Sweda Vidhi. So that should be the way in which we should explain that Adha here. Adha, as we have completed Sneha Vidhi, Ataha, as we are all eager to know the next procedure, Swedvidhim Adhyayam Vyakhyasyaamaha Iti Hasmahu Ratreyadayo Maharshayah. Iti Hasmahu Atreyadayo Maharshayah. That is how the chapter begins. Then we find some straight entry into the topic. Sweda is the chapter, so right away we move forward to the Vishaya. What is that? Svedastavopanahoshma dravabhedat chadurvithaha. Svedastavopanahoshma dravabhedat chadurvithaha. Svedaha chadurvithaha. Sweda, the procedure, Sweda, Svedanam. Sweda here means the therapeutic procedure done for the purpose of Svedanam. So the procedure as such is meant for Svedanam, and that procedure Sweda Chadurvithaha is of 4 types. Chadurvithaha. Svedastavopanahoshmad dravabhedad Chadurvithaha. So that Chadurvidhyam, or the fourfold division of the Sweda, is Tapam, Upanaham, Ushma, Drava Bhedad. Tapopanahoshma Drava Bhedad Chadurvithaha. Tapa, Upanaha, Ushma, Drava Bhedad. So these are the fourfold division of the procedure or the treatment called Sweda. Now, Acharya is trying to explain these procedures. This fourfold division is going to be explained. First, we find Tapasvedam. So, we find the explanation of tapasvedam तापोऽग्नितप्तवसन भालहस्ततलादिभिः तापः तापः स्वेदः और तापस्वेदः तापोऽग्नितप्तवसन भालहस्ततलादिभिः तापः अग्नितप्त वसन भाल हस्ततलादिभिः आदिभिः. So what is given is a list of examples, but the message is very clear, or the method is very clear. What is that? Tapaha, what we call as tapasvedam, is done with the agnitaptam, taptam, heated. Something which is heated is known as taptam. How the heating is done? Agnina, agnitaptam. Agnitaptam, some materials which are heated using agni. What are the materials given as example? Vasanam. Vasanam means cloth. Vasanam. Bhalam. Bhalam means a slab or a plate made of something, some iron or some other metal. Then hastam. Hastam means the palm. Agnitapta vasana bhala hastataladibihi. Hastatalam. Hastatalam is the word. It is the palm, which is the palm of the person who is doing the svedam. So these and similar objects like vasanam, bhalam or hastatalam is heated with agni and then applied over the area where we are planning to do the svedanam, and svedanam happens. So there can be many other things. Only 3 we find here as listed in the set of examples: vasanam, bhalam and hastatalam. You can use any other object, but the condition is that it is heated taptam directly using a source of fire. That way, when the svedanam is done, such svedanam is known as tapasvedam. That is known as tapasvedam. So maybe I think the tools which are used these days, like an infrared lamp, it is agni taptam. There is agni inside. In that filament which is burning inside, there is agni, and that is used as a tool for doing svedanam, and so it obviously comes under the category of tapasvedam. And there may be many other things. Heating pads may be there, which is nothing but vasanam, a designed vasanam which is taptam by means of some source of agni kept safely within. So that is also a sort of tapasvedam. Then many other methods can be there, which can be counted under this category of tapasvedam. Then so svedastapa upanaham. Next is upanahasvedam. What is upanahasvedam? Upanaham. Upanaham is the word used. Upanahyate or upanaham. The word upanaham means bandhanam. The word meaning of upanaham is bandhanam. Upanahyate badhyade charma padadina iti upanahaha. Upanahyade badhyade iti upanahaha. So we find a method here where some sort of a bandhanam is done and kept over a period of time, and in due course that creates the, or that generates the required amount of tapam inside, ushma inside, and generates the desired sweda kriya. Then that is known as upanaha swedam. We find the explanations here. उपनाहो वचा किन्व शदाह्वा देवदारुभिः धान्यैः समस्तैर्गन्धैश्च रास्नैरण्डजडामिषैः उद्रिक्तलवणैः स्नेह चुक्र और शुक्त तक्रपयप्लुदैः केवले पवने श्लेष्म संसृष्टे सुरसादिभिः पित्तेन पद्मगाद्यैस्तु साल्वणाख्यैः पुनः पुनः. It continues. We will see one line after line. Upanaho upanaha. It is called upanaha. That procedure is upanaha. What is its nature? And which are the medicines used or materials used, or how the procedure is done. Vacha kinva shadahva devadarubhihi. So a list of medicines or materials. What are they? Vacha, vacha, very familiar. Kinvam. Kinvam is one material which is some sort of a precipitation. Actually, that kinvam is the precipitation formed while these sort of certain madhyavigaras are made, like sura. So that I think in modern days the yeast which is readily available, which is used to make or generate fermentation in many preparations, even in the kitchen pharmacy, I think it is used very widely these days. So that is also considered as a kinvam. Something which can generate that sort of fermentation is known as kinvam. So vacha kinva shadahva. Shadahva is very familiar. Shadahva devadarubhihi. So these medicines, vacha kinva shadahva devadarubhihi dhanyaihi. So dhanyaihi, the dhanya family is very big. So the number is not specified or the name is not specified. So the available dhanya you can use, as we are using many types of dhanya. I think whatever is available can be used, no problem. Dhanyaihi samastaihi gandhaihi cha. So sometimes that samastaihi can be clubbed with the dhanya. Then samastaihi dhanyaihi, which is not possible. Samastaihi means complete. So it is not practically feasible option. So better you connect the word samastam with the gandham. So samastaihi gandhaihi. So that gandha dravyas. So maybe you can use panjagandham. Okay, panjagandham in effect covers the samasta gandham. There may be extra, but for all practical purposes, you can consider it as the samasta gandham. Samastaihi gandhaihi. So first vacha kinva shadahva devadarubhihi dhanyaihi samastaihi gandhaihi cha. Then rasnairanda jadamishaihi. Rasnairanda jada. Rasna. Eranda jada. Jada means moolam, root. So rasna. Then eranda jada. Amisham. Amisham is mamsam. So rasna eranda jada amishaihi udrikta udrikta lavanaihi. Udrikta lavanatvam. Lavanam is lavanam as such. Udrikta lavanam means added with the excessive or very liberal amount of Saindhavadi lavanam. Saindhavam, okay. Saindhavam. Then Sneha Shukta or Chukra Takra Payapludaihi. Udrikta Lavanaihi Sneha Chukra Takra Payapludaihi. Sneham. Sneham. No Sneham is specified here. So whichever is relevant in the context, that can be used. So it is based on the Vaidya's decision which Sneha is going to be used. Chukram, Chukram stands for or is representing some Amladravya. Chuktam or Chukram. And it is a Kalpana also. It is a Kalpana also which comes under an Amla Kalpana, which is a Sandhana Vishesha in which there is Amla Sandhanam is happening. Unlike Asavarishta. So it is a different Kalpana. But in effect, anything which is, it is a representation of an Amla Dravya or Amla Drava. Anything. Then Takram. Takram also comes under an Amla Drava. So it is specified by name because of its relevance to show that Takram is advised in this context more specifically. So to show that Takram is an important component of this procedure, it is highlighted separately. So Sneha, Shukta or Chukra, Takra, Payaplutaihi. Payaplutaihi. Payah, milk, Kshiram. So Plutam. So all these things, Vachakinna Shatahva Devadaru, Dhanyam, Samasta Gandham, Rasna, Eranda Jada, Amisham. So all these things are mixed together in paste form. And Udrikta Lavanata is brought by adding liberal amounts of Saindhavam. Then Sneham is added, Shuktam is added, Takram is added, Pious is added. All these things are added, and there may be some sort of a discretion from the side of the Vaidya contextually, according to the merit of the situation. Sometimes some of these dravyas may be omitted. Sometimes everything may be added. So it is it is the sole discretion of the treating Vaidya based on the merit of the situation where this is being done. Then Kevale Pavane. So what we have seen with this Vachakinva Shadakva Devadarubhihi Dhanyaihi Samastair Gandhaischa Rasnairanda Jadamishaihi Udrikta Lavanaihi Sneha Chukra Takra Payapludaihi Kevale Pavane. This is relevant in the case of Kevalavada condition. Kevale Pavane. Kevale Pavane means without any samsarga with the pitta or kapha. That is known as Kevala Pavana. Pavanan Vayu. Kevala Pavanaha. Kevala Vayu. Anupastambhaha. Anupastambhaha. Unsupported by other doshas. Then Shleshma Samsrishte Surasadibhihi. Shleshma Samsrishte Surasadibhihi. In Shleshma Samsrishte Pavane Surasadibhihi. So instead of using this Rasneranda Jadamisham, Samasta Gandham, Dhanyam, etc., here we will use Surasadi Ganam. Surasadi Ganam is famous, which is explained in the 15th chapter, Shodhanadi Gana Sangraham. But that Vajakinva Sadahva Devadaru, whether it is to be avoided in Shleshma Samsrishta, I don't think that it is to be avoided, it can be added. Similarly, Udrikta Lavanaihi Sneha Shukta Takrapaya Prudaihi, that also can be included. So, Vajakinva Sadahva Devadarubihi, Surasadibihi, then Udrikta Lavanaihi, Sneha Chukra Takra Payapludaihi. So the second line may be considered as specific to Kevala Pavana. When it is becoming Shleshma Samsrishta Pavana, you replace those medicines with the Surasadi Ganam. Pittena Patmadadyestu. When it is Pittena Samsrishta Pavanam. Pavanaha. Pitta Samsrishta Pavane. Patmagadyestu. Patmagadyehi tu. Patmagadyehi ganaihi. So instead of Surasadi Ganam, when it is Pitta Pittanubadhavadam, you may use Patmagadi Ganam. You may use Patmagadi Ganam. And Salvanakhyam, something which has or which is famous by the name of Salvanam, something which is famous by the name Salvanam. So what is Salvanam? It is, we can find the explanation of Salvanam in the Vyakhyana. It is explained by Sushruta, especially Kagolyadi Ganam. It is a combination made with the Kagolyadi Ganam, with the Mamsa, then Amla Dravya, then Sneha. All these things are mixed together, and it is made into a compound which is used for this Upanaha. Then that is known as Salvanam. And so here we find Pittena Samsrishte Pavane Salvanakhyaihi Patmagadyihi. But interestingly, the name given for the yoga which is used, the Gana used there is Kagolyadi. And interestingly, if you look at the commentary of Hemadri, you will find that Patmagadireva Tanmade Kagolyadihi. So this Kagolyadi is nothing but the Patmagadi which is explained or meant by Vakbhada here in this context. Obviously, I think these sort of debates are important in the proper understanding of the textual description, definitely. But the message that is carried is that the dravyas are changed in the Upanahasveda according to the dosha vikalpa. That is the crux of the story. The dravyas are modified according to the dosha vikalpa. So here itself we find Kevale Pavane, we find a set of medicines. Rasneiranda Jadamishaihi. But this Amisham and everything will be used in all the situations, because it is an integral part of Upanahasveda. But the Rasna, Eranda Jada may be changing. Similarly, even in the first line, some Vaidyas may be changing that Sadahua and Devadaru in the case of Pitta, because they do not suit to the situation where Pitta Anubandham is there. And one point which we have to keep always in our minds is that this is not at all done when Pitta is the predominating element. Say, for example, in a Pittavada condition, I think this is not a choice, because, or in Pitta condition, this is not a choice, because basically they are Asvedyas. There we will go for Shidakriya. Many a times stambhanam will be the line of management. We will be using all shida dravyas, isn't it? So this is pittena anubadha samsrishta vade. Pitta samsrishta vade. So vada is the character, the hero. The supporting roles are played by sometimes Shleshma, sometimes Pitta. Accordingly, we are supposed to make some changes in the preparation of the medicine. Then, what else? Punah punaha, punah punaha, again and again. It is again a conflicting statement done by Vakbhada in Ashtanga Hridaya. What is to be done there is not very clearly mentioned. So we move forward and we find that the next sloka, what is that? स्निग्धोष्णवीर्यैर्मृदुभिः चर्मपट्टैरपूदिभिः स्निग्धोष्णवीर्यैर्मृदुभिः चर्मपट्टैरपूदिभिः अपूदिभिः चर्मपट्टैः अपूदि apudi means adurgandhi, properly preserved, properly processed and preserved, then it will not have the pudi gandhitva. It is actually charma, skin. It is the leather. So the leather, which is a leather bandage which is properly preserved, dried and properly preserved with the smearing of certain materials on it, and properly made flexible for the purpose, and all these things are done. So apudibhihi charmai charma pattaihi, charma pattam, charma means leather, pattam, charma pattam means a somewhat a thick that cloth like structure which is made with leather. Apudibhihi charma pattaihi, and its characteristics are specified. What is that? Snigdhoshnaviryehi, that leather is sourced from animals which will provide the peculiar property to the charma pattam. What is that? Snigdhoshnaviryam. It should be snigdha, it should be ushna. Snigdhada may be an added capacity during its preservation or its processing. Leather processing is an art or a business or a trade or a specialty. So that way it is made snigdham and it should be ushnaviryam. So snigdhoshnaviryam. Then mrudu. It should not hurt, or it should be properly pliable. It should be properly used for doing the bandaging. So it should be pliable, it should be mrudu. Mrudubhihi apudibhihi charma pattaihi. So it is a speciality. So whenever there is a speciality demand, many a times it may be lacking. So we should also know what could be the substitute. So that is what we find in the next line. Alabhe, when it is not labhya, when it is not available. Alabhe vadajit patra kausheya avigashatakaihi. Either vadajit patra, any vadajit patra like eranda patram or something else, maybe arka patram. So vadajit patra kausheya avigashatakaihi, these are all types of clothes, types of clothes. Avikam, kausheyam, and kausheya aviga shadakaihi. So these are all uh, types of this uh, clothes, sometimes made out of the fur of animals or sometimes silk type of materials, so which will meet the criteria that snigdhoshna vidyaihi mrudubhihi. So that characteristics are becoming the important criteria, and also the that material should be proper for making the bandaging. So such materials can be used when alabhe, when that charma pattam is not available. Then baddham ratrau divamunjed, baddham ratrau divamunjed, ratrau baddham divamunjed, ratrau baddham, bandaged at night, baddham ratrau divamunjed, you may release, untie or remove diva next day morning, or munjed ratrau divakritam, or you may tie in the morning and remove it in the night. Munjed ratrau divakritam, divakritam, something which is done in the diva. So day, diva, diva swapnam. So divakritam ratrau munjed, divakritam ratrau munjed. So this is how it is explained. But I think this is not sufficient. This Upanaha description is not giving us the correct picture of how it is being done properly. So when you look into the Ashtanga Sangraham, you may get a better picture, which is essential because this Upanaham is practiced very frequently, and it is required also very frequently. So how it is explained in Ashtanga Sangraham? Upanahasvedastu सर्वगंध धान्य सर्षप किण्व वचा देवदारु रास्नैरण्डमूल मधुक शताक्वा सुराकिट्ट आदिवादहरद्रव्य चूर्णैः यवगोधूम शकलैः आनूपासृत्पित्तशिरपादामिषवेशवारैश्च तथा श्लेष्मसंसृष्टे वायौ सुरसादिभिः पित्तसंसृष्टे च पद्मगादिभिः पृथक् सहितैर्वा क्षीरशुक्तधान्याम्ल लवणमस्तु प्रगाढैः स्निग्धैः सुखोष्णैः साल्वणाभिधानैः बहुशः प्रदिह्य उष्णवीर्यापूदि मृदुरोमचर्मभिः तदभावे घनवादहरपत्र आविक कौशेयैः उपनद्धम् अङ्गम् अहस्थितम् विदाह परिहारार्थं निशि मुञ्जेद दिवा निशि बद्धं दोष देश काल वशेन वा. This is what we find in Ashtanga Sangraham. So here the picture is somewhat very clear. So I will read the Sangraham portion because ultimately we should be able to do it effectively and properly. So we will find the way in which it is explained in Ashtanga Sangraham. See, Upanaha Svedastu Sarvagandha Dhanya Sarshapa Kinva Vacha Devadaru Rasna Erandamula Madhuka. Madhugam we do not find in Ashtanga Hridaya. Then Sarishavam also we do not find in Ashtanga Hridayam. So certain modifications are there. Then Shadahwa Surakittam. Surakittam is the Kinnam what we find in Ashtanga Hridayam. Surakittadi Vadaharadravya Churnaihi. Vadaharadravya Churnaihi. So we have to make it a Churnam. Upanaha Churnam. That is why we find certain materials prepared and made readily available in the market with the name Upanaha Churnam. So we can also make it You can also make it for your practice. Upanaha churnam. So, Vadahara dravya churnaihi Yavagodhuma shakalaihi Yavagodhuma shakalam. So, broken. Yavagodhuma shakalam. They may be cooked. Then, Anubasrpitta shirapadamisha veshavaraischa. Anupam means the desham. Then Rakta, that is Asruk. Pitta Shira Padamisha Veshavaraischa. So here we find some sort of a preparation called Veshavaram. This Veshavaram is another preparation. Everybody knows it. It is made out of this mamsam, and using that Vesavaram. And that Vesavaram is made here with Anupa Asrukpitta Shirapadamisham. Anupa Asruk. The blood, the Asruk of Anupa Mrgam. Then its Shira, its head, Padam, legs, Amisham. So the Amisham taken from this Shirapadam. And Vesavaram is made out of it. So that is also added. Tadha. Then, in the same way, Shleshma Samsrishte Vayo Surasadibhihi. So instead of those medicines and the materials which are explained in the case of Vayu, in the case of Shleshma Samsrishta Vayu, we use Surasadi. That is very clearly mentioned in Ashtanga Hridayam also. Then, Pitta Samsrishte ja Patmagadibhihi. Pitta Samsrishte Patmagadibhihi. So in Pitta Samsrishta Vayu, we use Patmagadikana. Then Pridhak Sahidairva Kshira Shukta Dhanyamla Lavanamastu Pragadhaihi Snigdhaihi Sukhoshhnaihi Salvanabhidhanaihi. So using all these things, you are going to make a salvanam. So here it is becoming a common thing. And prithak sahidairva. So either prithak separately or sahitaihi or together. What all things? Kshira shukta dhanyamla lavanamastu pragadhaihi. So kshira shukta dhanyamla, in all those things you can choose according to your choice. Then lavanamastu pragadhaihi snigdhaihi. You should add plenty of lavanam and mastu. Here it is mastu. So it is an amla dravya which is similar to takra in most of its characteristics. Snigdhaihi sukoshnaihi. Then warm it and make it sukoshnam. Then bahushaha pradihya. So this now it has become a paste, and apply it repeatedly over and over again. So make one layer, then apply another layer, apply another layer. So bahushaha pradihya. Then over that layered application of this prepared medicine, then what should we do? Ushnavirya apudi mruduroma charmabhihi. Mruduroma charmabhihi. So that is what we find there. Snigdhoshnavirye mrudubhi charma pattaihi in Ashtanga Hridayam. Then alabhe or tadabhave, if you do not get such a charmam, then ghana vadahara patra avika kausheyihi upanadham angam. So upanadham means baddham, tied, bandaged. So using this, you tie it over that application of the medicines. Then ahasthidam, maintained all through the day. Vidaha pariharartham nishi munjed. Vidaha pariharartham nishi munjed. So you release it, untie it. Vidaha pariharartham. Otherwise, there is a risk of vidaham happening in that site, causing initiation of a new samprapti. Causing the initiation of a new samprapti. To avoid that, vidaha pariharartham nishi munjed. Diva nishibaddham or nishibaddham diva munjed. How to decide all these things, when to tie or when to release? Dosha desha kala vasena. Dosha desha kala vasena means dosha vasena, desha vasena, kala vasena cha. So this is an example given in a big paragraph in Ashtanga Sangraham. We all should read what is explained in Ashtanga Sangraham. You will find similar explanation in Charaka Samhita also, no doubt, which is very elaborate. The Swedvidhi in Charaka Samhita is somewhat similar to Ashtanga Sangraham and elaborate. So, from this broad list, dosha desha kala vasena, dosha vasena, that dosha vasatvam is what we find in kevale pavane, pitta samsrishte, shleshma samsrishte, etc. etc. Then desha vasena, desha vasam, desham, either the deha desham or the bhumi desham. According to that, you can decide. Kala vasena, kalam here is the Rudu Swabhava Kalam, and that means the Kshananir Vyadhyavastha cha Kalo Bheshaja Yoga Krita. That should be the guideline. Kshanadi, which goes up to that Kshanam, then going up to that Varsham or something like that, or even more than that. At least for practical purposes, we can limit it to Sweda, that Shadrudu. Then Vyadhyavastha, according to the Vyadhyavastha, that is also a Kala Pariganana. So Dosha Vasena, Desha Vasena, Kala Vasena va, we can go for the Upanaha Sweda. So that gives us a very beautiful explanation about how Upanaham is being done or is to be done. So definitely all the practitioners and students should go through the explanation of Ashtanga Sangraham, whereas for the sake of easily recollecting what is told in the textbook and also for the sake of learning by heart, Ashtanga Hridayam is the best, which we will read once again. What is that? Upanaho vacha kinva sadahva devadarubhihi धान्यैः समस्तैर्गन्धैश्च रास्नैरण्डजडामिषैः उद्रिक्तलवणैः स्नेहचुक्रतक्रपयप्लुतैः केवले पवने श्लेष्मसंसृष्टे सुरसादिभिः पित्तेन पद्मगाद्यैस्तु साल्वणाख्यैः पुनः पुनः स्निग्धोष्णवीर्यैर्मृदुभिः चर्मपट्टैरपूदिभिः अलाभे वादजिल्पत्र कौशेयाविकषाडकैः बद्धं रात्रौ दिवा मुञ्जेद्रात्रौ दिवाकृतम्. So that is the easiest way to by heart Upanaha. Then further moving up, we find the next type of Swedam, and that is Dravasvedam. That is Dravasvedam. Dravasvedam is of two types, Parishegam and Avagaham. Svedam, Dravasvedam is of two types. One is Parishegam and the second is Avagaham. So first I think we missed something in between. Yes, Ushma Swedam we missed. I think what we find, so see it in the screen. Ushma Swedam is the next one. What is Ushma Swedam? ऊष्मा तु उत्कारिकालोष्ट कपालोपलपांसुभिः ऊष्मा तु उत्कारिकालोष्ट कपालोपलपांसुभिः पत्रभङ्गेन धान्येन करीश सिकता तुषैः अनेकोपायसन्दप्तैः प्रयोज्यो देशकालतः ऊष्मा तु उत्कारिका लोष्टकपालोपलपांसुभिः पत्रभङ्गेन धान्येन करीशसिकता तुषैः अनेकोपायसन्दप्तैः प्रयोज्यो देशकालतः ऊष्मा ऊष्मा stands for the bashpa. Ushma stands for bashpa. So here earlier we found one Svedam called Tapasvedam, and it is Agni Taptam. It is Agni Taptam. So there is direct heating using a source of fire. But here it is Ushma. It is used with the Svedam is done with the Ushma generated from various things. So whenever we are expecting Ushma, we need some sort of a Dravam behind it. Otherwise it is not possible. So we expect a Dravam behind it. So here we find many things. What are they? Utkarika, Loshta, Kapalopalapam Subhihi, Patrabhangena, Dhanyena, Karisha Sigada Tushaihi, Anegopaya Sandaptaihi Prayojyaha, Deshakalataha. Deshakalatah prayojyah. Deshakalatah. Actually, dosha deshakalatah prayojyah. How? Santaptaihi. Anekopaya santaptaihi. There are different methods, upaya, different methods of making the stuff taptam. Santaptam. Something which is heated. Anekopaya santaptaihi. So by using materials which are heated by many methods, but ultimately it is Ushma Swedam. Ultimately it is Ushma Swedam. So what are the materials which are heated? Utkarika, Loshtam, Kapalam, Upalam, Pamsu, then Patrabhangam, Dhanyam, Karisham, Sikada, Tusham. So a big list of materials. The Vaidyan is free enough to make the best out of it, the best choice out of this big list. Utkarika. Utkarika is actually it is a recipe which is used to eat, which is a recipe, but here it is used for doing this Sweda Karma, which is very common. There are many recipes which are used for treatment as well. So here we find recipe called Utkarika. Here in this part in Kerala, we make some sort of a, at first we powder certain things, then make some sort of a duff out of it and then cook it in steam, and that is known as Utkarika, especially with rice flour or wheat flour. So that is Utkarika. Then using that Utkarika again maybe put into some sort of a pottery and maybe dipped in some sort of a drava, and then using that you may do the Sweda Karma. So some Ushma is working behind it. So that is Utkarika Swedam. Then Loshtam is called maybe a mud It is mud or earth. It is mud. So a piece or a heap of earth or mud is called loshtam. Kapalam is sort of shell, is a shell. Then upalam. Upalam is stone pieces. Then pamsu. Pamsu is dust or powder. Patrabhangam. Patrabhangam is cut pieces of leaves. Dhanyam. Dhanyam is very evolved. We know that Godhuma Pindasvedam or Shastika Pindasvedam, all these things are used, the expansions of this Dhanya Pindasvedam. Then Karisham. Karisham is actually dried and powdered cow dung. Karisham. Sikada. Sikada is the sand. Tusham. Tusham is the that what we call the husk of grains. That is tusham. So these things, when these materials are used as such without causing the formation of ushma, but dried directly over a heat and applied, then it will become tapasvedam. So that is to be kept in our minds. This is called Ushma Svedam when there is Ushma generated, and that is the medium with which the Sveda is done. So that is very important. So a big list of objects with which some sort of a wet steam or that similar wet heat is generated, and that is used for doing the Swedanam, then it is known as Ushma Svedam. Anegobaya Sandaptaihi, you can make a pottery and keep it over the steam to heat that pindam. Then you can dip it in kashayam, you can dip it in kshiram, you can dip it in dhanyamlam. All these are options. So anegobaya sandaptaihi prayojyaha, and swedanam kartavyam. So then that is known as ushma swedam. Ushma swedam. So how to select deshakalataha? Based on considerations about the desham and kalam, obviously they that dosham as well, you can use these materials for doing svedana, and then that svedana is known as ushma svedam. So I will read those three lines once again. Ushma tu utkarika loshta kapalopalapamsubhihi upalam kapalopalapamsubhihi patrabhangena dhanyena karisha sikata tushaihi. Karisham sikata tusham anekopaya sandaptaihi. Anekopaya sandaptaihi with the materials listed above. Deshakalataha prayojyaha. Ushma svedaha deshakalataha prayojyaha. Anekopaya sandaptaihi utkarikaloshtakapalopalapamsubhihi. Anekopaya sandaptaihi patrabhangena. Anekopaya sandaptaihi dhanyena. Sandaptaihi is bahuvachanam, so all the bahuvachanas should be connected with that, especially karisha sigata tushaihi. So that patrabhangena, you can use it as such. Dhanyena svedaha. Then karisha sigata tushaihi anegopaya sandaptaihi. Utkarigaloshtakapalopalapamsubhihi anegopaya sandaptaihi. So deshakalataha ushma svetaha prayojyaha. So I think we will stop at this point today. We will continue with the remaining Sweda Kriyas in our next session. I hope that is enough for today. Nilesh.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Uh, if there are any queries, one or two queries we can take. Otherwise, we can wind up for today. I think Ashwin sir has a query.
Yeah, yeah, I see a post. Can we consider Navarakiri a combination of Ushma and Tapasveda? Never. Navarakiri, for those who are not familiar with the term, Navarakiri means a Sveda done with the Shastigam, cooked Shastigam, Kshiram, Mamsarasam, anything. Cooked in Kshiram and then made into a pottery and dipping this pottery in Kshiram or Mamsarasam or some other, whatever drava you need. Then that is applied over the desha, dehadesham is known as Navarakiri. It cannot be considered as a tapasvedam. Tapasvedam is dry. Basically, tapasvedam is dry heat, where a material is heated over the dry direct agni and applied. So in Navarakiri, it is entirely different. It is dipped in water and the ushma, that wet nature, is used for inducing the Swedanam. So it is never a type of Tapasvedam. It is purely a Ushma Svedam. And as we are using many things, sometimes together, sometimes separately, in doing this Ushma Svedam, at one point, this Pindasvedam, what we are calling this Navarakiri, is a Pindasvedam, and many things can be put inside the Pindam. And at one point, Ashtanga Sangraha and Charaga will call it as a Sangarasvedam. We will come to the description of those things in our next class. So it is never a Tapasvedam. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Prasad sir, very much. I think with this we will wind up for today and meet in our next session, sir.
All right. So Shubharatri to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Shubhratri to all.